Well, good evening and welcome to the Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Scituate Planning Board meeting here in the Select Board hearing room. The general public is welcome to attend or discover the Zoom. Here is a posted agenda. Do we have a second? All in favor? We are waiting for our Mr. to vote and continue. At 6:30, we have a continued public hearing, a site plan administrative review, and a special permit for 4 multi-family buildings and stormwater permit in the village center in Neighborhood District 872 Country Way. There's an immediate continuance requested.
I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for site plan administrative review and special permit for 4 multi-family buildings and stormwater permit in the village center and neighborhood district, North Scituate Village District, Outer Village, VCN, NSV, OB, until November 9, 2023 at 8:30 p.m. and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until February 29, 2024.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving along at 6:35. We have a public hearing for a special permit accessory dwelling, 27 Sherman Drive.
Okay, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Sections 9 and 11, and with Scituate zoning bylaw, Section 530, accessory dwelling special permit, and Section 940, referrals, the planning board will conduct a public hearing at 6:35 p.m. on Thursday, October 12, 2023, in the Select Board's hearing room at Town Hall, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. The subject of the hearing is an application submitted by applicant David Cangiano and owners Michael and Latasha Ruglo for an accessory dwelling special permit for an accessory dwelling to be located in addition to an existing single-family home at property located at 27 Sherman Drive, Scituate, property as shown on the assessor's map, block parcel 48-4-5. Plans are available for review in the planning board office, Town Hall. Abutters and interested parties are invited to attend, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you very much.
So who is here for that project? Would you like to come up and introduce yourselves and tell us what's happening? Right here, please. Your name and address, please.
My name is David Cangiano from 187 Longwood Street in Norton. I'm the contractor for Michael here. And they're looking to add the accessory dwelling for Michael's mother.
Michael Ludlow.
Address is 27 Sherman Drive.
Yes.
I'm Ann Ludlow, I'm Michael's mother.
Go. Yeah. Karen, would you like to start us off? Or why don't you tell us what you're proposing, please? Why don't you tell us about the design works, what you're doing, what's going on?
Okay, it's about 900 square feet with a common mudroom, single floor,
Okay.
accessory
I need to
kitchen.
know if there's 2 entrances we need to go about.
There are 2 entrances.
No. Okay. Is there going to be any other kind of landscaping, how close you to the other houses, to meet the setbacks, that's what you.
Oh, okay. The setbacks as they stand are 100 feet off the street. We have 35 feet from one side, and it looks like 62 to the left, 51 feet to the right side setback, and 52 feet to the rear setback on the addition. Again, it's 900 square feet, 2 exits. One to the left side of the house, one to the right side. There's a bulkhead entrance into the crawl space basement. One bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a common or a open floor plan kitchen and living area.
Karen, would you like to start?
Yeah, so the size of the accessory dwelling is 828 square feet. The floor area of the primary dwelling is 2328 square feet. The accessory dwelling is 36% of the floor area of the primary dwelling. The new mudroom and the screened porch are not taken into account in any of these numbers. The mudroom and the screen porch are presumably being shared. There is two means of egress, and it appears to be subordinate to the existing single-family dwelling. The site's in the Water Resource Protection District, so they have to infiltrate the roof runoff. We received a new site plan today that shows where they're going to have an infiltration chamber. They need that for the building permit, so, we condition those. So I would recommend approval. I've drafted a motion to recommend approval because it meets the requirements.
This is Sherman Drive, which is down, Scituate Trail. That neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Okay. And wasn't there, not that it has anything to do with anything, but that street was never approved, was it, by the town?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, because there's a whole issue about drainage up there. It's one of the few that was not approved. And so do you get it onto the plowed
We do.
all the time by the town?
Yes.
Yeah, well, maybe they did. Oh, I find that,
I
didn't check the street address.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't belong to.
Well, it was the one street up there that was never approved, but you have sewer,
Yes.
that in and of itself. So there you're all set.
All right. That's good.
That's
I don't know there. Oh, they must be.
What is you saying it's subordinate, so is the siding similar or identical?
We're actually in the process, we're going to reside the entire house,
With one single kind of siding?
so it's a all match.
And, where's the parking?
Existing,
Common
yeah, the
driveway.
existing driveway. Please.
So it's kind of tandem parking? Is that the idea? We have to accommodate additional parking for the accessory dwelling?
No. No, we have like a lengthy, with 2 wide driveway, which will be adequate.
Yes, it's
The driveway.
it's a longer driveway, but yeah, it probably would be 10.
It has to be
It would be 10, yeah. But it's a long driveway, so it looked like there was room for parking for the primary dwelling and for the accessory dwelling.
Okay,
That's one of our requirements, that we're talking for the accessory dwelling is not.
and are there other houses abutting this? All I see is the lot line, so are there other houses nearby?
Yes, there are.
Okay. And, I guess you've talked about, is there any lighting going on? Ear lighting,
Like additional, no.
There's
no outdoor lighting
Oh,
being added to the accessory line?
There'll be a light at each of the exit doors, just like a carriage stop.
Okay. All right, one of the things we generally require is little peak down lights as opposed to
Like a flood.
shining
Oh, yeah.
neighbors.
Yep.
Okay. And then I think I heard you say you're connected to sewer.
Yes.
And sewer and water department already coding. If you
Yes.
need a new water.
No, they can use the same, the water service can remain the same, the sewer division indicated that they have an 8,000 privilege fee that will be going, changed. It is for the accessory dwelling.
That's it, I don't have any other questions.
And the only condition that we have, of course, is in the water resource protection district, so for us. So there will be some stringent, not stringent, but there will be conditions that you will have to meet after the approval process in the building.
That's the new layout here. This one here.
Is it?
Today's stamp, date stamp.
Take stamp today?
No
So
garage.
what did they,
They added the,
Oh,
they added the test pit location and they added the, location for the infiltration chamber.
oh, over to the east side.
To the side.
It's a two-car garage.
So that way, when they go to get the building permit, everything will be on the drawing and, you know, it won't be a holdup with me signing up after we go through the appeal period.
Yeah, what,
If there are any comments,
if there are any comments, from the administration, any comments from the public or online?
If anyone on the online has any comments that you'd like to make, we're in public comment phase right now, you can raise your hand from the bottom of your Zoom screen and we can address those comments now.
I will move to make the following findings of fact. On September 14, 2023, applicant David Mangiano applied for special permit accessory dwelling in a single-family home at the property at 27 Sherman Drive. 2, according to the town of Scituate's assessor's records and the deed, the property at 27 Sherman Drive is owned by Michael and Natasha Ludlow. 3, based on the floor plan submitted with the application, the planning board finds the floor area of the accessory dwelling to be 828 square feet. The floor area of the primary dwelling is 2,328 square feet, according to the application. The accessory dwelling is 36% of the floor area of the primary dwelling. This meets the size requirements of 530.2F of the zoning bylaw for accessory dwellings, as the bylaw allows 750 square feet or 40% of the total floor area of the primary dwelling, whichever is greater. A new mudroom addition and screen porch are being added and are not part of the gross floor area considered for the primary dwelling. The accessory dwelling is subordinate to the existing single-family home. 4, the accessory dwelling unit will be a complete separate housekeeping unit, and there will only be one accessory dwelling on the lot. 5, the property is in the residential R1 zoning district, as well as the water resource protection district. The proposed accessory dwelling structure meets all required setbacks, building height, yard requirements, primary dwelling. 6, the proposed accessory dwelling is to be located in a new addition to the single-family home. Access will be via doors on the north and south sides of the accessory dwelling, as well as through the new mudroom. 7, the appearance of the accessory dwelling will be in keeping with the appearance of the primary dwelling. 8, the certified plot plan for 27 Sherman Drive, assessors map 48, lot 5, Scituate, Mass, by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, dated August 8, 2022, with revisions through October 10, 2023, shows the location of the existing primary dwelling and the proposed accessory dwelling. The plan shows a paved driveway which appears capable of supporting 2 cars for the accessory dwelling, as well as 2 parking spaces for the primary dwelling. Ample parking appears to be provided. The applicant owner has submitted a signed notarized statement that he will occupy one of the dwellings upon completion of the project. 10, the accessory dwelling will be serviced by town water and sewer. The water department has commented that the water service can remain the same. The sewer division indicated the existing building is connected to sewer, and an $8,000 privilege fee will be owed to the sewer division for the change in use addition of the accessory dwelling. 11, the application meets the standards of the Scituate zoning bylaw for an accessory dwelling special permit.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye. I move to approve the special permit for an accessory dwelling at 27 Sherman Drive with the following conditions, in addition to the standard conditions for accessory dwellings approved by the planning board after a public hearing on 12/17/2015. 1, except for any changes necessary to meet these conditions, any construction shall substantially conform to plans submitted with the application by Kristen Morrison Architects dated 8/15/2023, consisting of 7 sheets, including existing first and second floor A1, first floor plan A2, second floor plan A3, front and right elevation A4, rear, left, and mudroom elevations A5, cross sections A6, Foundation Plan A7, Certified Plot Plan 27 Sherman Drive, Scituate, Mass, dated August 8, 2022, with latest revision of 10/10/2023 by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. 2, the number of bedrooms in the accessory dwelling is limited to 1 in the location and size indicated on the floor plan submitted to the application. 3, no further expansion of the accessory dwelling floor area is allowed without further review by the planning board. 4, upon occupancy of the accessory dwelling, the applicant shall provide a notarized affidavit that the owner is living in one of the dwelling units. A yearly certification that the owner occupies one of the dwelling units must be provided by March 1 yearly. 5, all requirements of the Board of Health, Building Department, Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, and other town agencies must be met prior to occupancy of the accessory dwelling. 6, the accessory dwelling shall conform to all applicable standards in the building, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, fire, and health code and bylaws. 7, water connection must meet all requirements of the DPW water division for the accessory dwelling. 8, sewer connection must meet all requirements of the DPW sewer division for the accessory dwelling. 9, any lighting installed shall be down lighting to not shed light on abutting properties. 10, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal state and federal holidays. Construction includes idling of vehicles, delivery of materials to the site, and all other construction activities. 11, runoff from the proposed accessory dwelling shall not be increased from the property, as the property is in the Water Resource Protection District. Rooftop runoff must be designed to recharge the first inch of rainfall. Recharge shall be attained through site design, infiltration basins or swales constructed with a 3-foot minimum separation between the bottom of the structure and maximum groundwater elevation so that nitrogen is removed. An artificial system of recharge may be required, which does not degrade the groundwater if there is more than 15% impervious area for the site. A plan for attaining runoff requirements must be provided to the building commissioner as part of the building permit application. All conditions of the zoning bylaw for the surface water must be met. If there is an increase in impervious area over 25%, then a stormwater permit will be required. 12, erosion and sedimentation control devices shall be installed to prevent any erosion or sedimentation from leaving the site during construction. Silt, soft, or silt fence shall be used as necessary and extended around the limit of work, so disturbance beyond what is shown on the plan is not allowed. 13, the appearance of the accessory dwelling will be in keeping with the primary dwelling unless otherwise required by the Massachusetts Building Code, and new exterior stairs needed to provide primary or secondary means of egress for the accessory dwelling shall be located on the side or rear of the building. 14, at least 2 private off-street parking spaces shall be available for use by the occupants of the accessory dwelling, in addition to those parking spaces required for the primary dwelling.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
So can we add something to 13? So the appearance be keeping, and they'll be, I think I just want to capture the comment that they're gonna reside the whole building so that it all matches.
Okay, at the end, new siding is going to be provided for the existing and primary dwelling.
The existing and accessory dwellings.
Yeah.
That's good.
And the other thing is, number 9, any lighting installed shall be down lighting. My concern too is motion detector lights. And sometimes those can be really difficult. So, well, it's not,
I would I would say that motion detector lights are actually usually pretty good for people,
I agree,
right?
as
So-
long as they are directed correctly.
Yeah, well, this says that they have to be directed correctly, right?
Okay.
So motion
You can't
detectors
shed
are
light
fine.
on abutting property.
Okay, good.
That
Thank you.
includes any lighting.
Any at all.
Any lighting installed for the property.
Obviously, that's a concern that we've heard over and over, as you can tell. So
Yeah.
we have concerns about that.
Right, and you
That
can,
can go both ways. I agree with actually both.
It's just
Yeah, I
one of
think
those
motion
things.
detector is fine.
yeah, I do
Want
too.
light when you walk
Yeah.
outside.
But,
As long as it's not 400 watts.
you know, and I mean, sometimes it looks like you're looking at a headlight, so. And you had mentioned that it was, when asked about lighting, that it was at the front and the back. This is a little bit beyond that.
Yep.
Okay?
Second as amended.
Second and amended, yeah.
All in favor?
Uh,
Good luck, welcome.
welcome.
Thank you.
Please sign.
This has to be filed with the town clerk, and then there's a 20-day appeal period. And then, and I can, you know, you have a copy, and then I'll be signing off, sign off. And then all of the recorded stuff is gonna have to be uploaded on permit copies to the building permit applications. I'll try to get it filed by Monday.
Thank you.
Well, next, we have a continued public hearing.
We can't start,
We cannot
Start to fill it.
Permits for that.
I'm thinking.
What are you doing?
You have to wait for some of the product.
Let's see, 19 work.
we may, you know, we can do some of the stuff at the end. I mean, we can go to minutes or counting and that kind of stuff.
Sure. Do you want to?
They're on their way out.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for September 14th, 2023, and September 28th, 2023.
Just a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we got accounting. Who shall we pay this time?
Who shall we pay this week?
Right. I move to approve the requisition of $720 to Tech Inc. for peer review services for 817 Country Way, for $1,275 for Horsley Witten for peer review services for 18 Drew Place, for $2,419.35 for Horsley Witten for peer review services of Seaside at Scituate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You pay the people.
Why?
Of course you have to. I mean, you sign those contracts, and everybody needs to get paid.
We mail them for free.
No, only we work for free.
I know, we work for free. That's why we get the big bucks up here.
We work for free. So, you wanted to give me to.
I can do the update on the community. So we met with our consultant yesterday, and it's been confirmed we're going to be able to change the districts to 15 units per acre by right. And that will give us our 1,090 units or 30 units, whatever we need.
30.
And then, no, because we're gonna apply for our two mixed use districts.
Oh, you're gonna count those.
Right, we'll get a 25% credit for those should give us about 209 units. So we got she sent us the form that EOHLC requires for the mixed use districts. We have to do a separate form for Greenbush, and we have to do a separate form for North Scituate. It's pretty, we have, you know, you describe the land uses, we give the zoning, we describe the infrastructure,
All the lack thereof.
we describe the public transportation, we describe the pedestrian environment, we describe how the district is an area of concentrated development, how the district is in a location with existing village style or downtown development is essential to preserve pedestrian access to amenities, and other key information.
Is that in order to get the that one?
Yes, that's what that form is. In order to get the credit, and we have to have this submitted at least 90 days prior to town meeting. It has to be submitted 90 days prior, at least 90 days prior to the town meeting vote. So we're working on getting all the maps together. We're gonna start working on the write-up. And then the town administrator will have to sign the form. It's much the same stuff as we had to submit for the original plan. It's just, it's gonna be more detailed here.
And then the 15 per acre,
That'll be,
that's something that has to go to town meeting.
that's something that has to go to town meeting, so hopefully our consultant is finalizing, we'll get a memo about finalizing compliance numbers. She will be starting to work on the zoning changes that we have to present to town meeting. So we know we're going to change the districts to 15 units per acre by right. We're not changing the maximum on any of those. We know that we're going to have to change parking, because we can't have parking in our required parking in our for the mixed use district. For only the commercial part. We can have the residential part, but we can't have the commercial. We have to change the affordability to 10% for by right, because we don't want to do economic feasibility analysis. And we have to change GWB to by right. We have it as multifamily by special permit. There'll be other changes there'll be some other minor changes that we are going to be making. We'll be like eliminating section 430 point something. This multifamily dwelling complex doesn't apply to anything. We're gonna take the time to go through the zoning bylaw, catch any, what we think are errors in the VCN, and also correct them at the same time. But we anticipate having the zoning by mid-November so that we can have our zoning workshop December 7th. And then we can, January, we'll have our public hearings for the first meeting in January will be the zoning public hearing. The second one will be allowed for continuance. So everything is looking very promising at the moment. I mean, hopefully if we show them that we're changing the parking, it should, for the mixed use, that they should be able to approve our district.
So just explain it to me when you say changing parking.
We can't have,
We can't have commercial parking.
we can't require commercial parking in the mixed use district. And when we last talked about it, we determined that it was probably rather negligible anyways. I mean, let's take 33 New Driftway that had 3,600 square feet of parking, of commercial space, 7 parking spaces. When there's plenty of other space around there with the parking lot for the train and the train overflow, there's 196 spots on the by Drew. So we determined it wasn't going to be a big factor.
But new developments that we can't allow.
We can't allow commercial parking on a by right development. We absolutely
Can we allow
require,
it or can't require
we can't require it.
I'll be going to Scituate, we have those 2 big parking lots.
Right, in North Scituate, we have parking down there, we have that town public parking lot, and we have the MBTA parking.
it? Right, but we can still require it to address how parking will be addressed.
Yes, we can ask them how parking will be addressed, but we can require the residential parking, we just can't require the commercial parking. And we didn't see it as a big issue because the mixed use isn't really that much at 1 space per 500. It's not really that much. So, you know, that was the trade-off.
But also too, when you have a mixed use with residential and commercial, theoretically, the residents go to work and leave empty parking spaces.
Right,
So it just sort of flows
right.
theoretically.
But most of our development is gonna have assigned spaces.
Right,
Right, but there should still be extra space during the day
that's right.
for parking.
That's what I'm saying, because
You know, it's all, you know, it's transit oriented. That's what we want.
But if the mixed use is evening use, everybody will be back.
Well,
And
then,
see restaurants and all that kind of stuff.
but we have other public parking in walking distance that we think that the trade-off was worth it. Otherwise, we'd have to go up to 17, 18, 16 units per acre by right. We didn't want to do that.
Just wondering how we're gonna address it as new units come in, as new proposals.
We're pretty much,
Well, we figured it wasn't, I mean, we're a lot developed out in Greenbush. I mean, in terms of,
No, I'm thinking of North Situate.
Well,
Greenbush.
we have a big public parking lot in North Situate,
actually there too.
right? So, you know, we didn't think it was gonna be a problem.
Probably also like put sign the parking lot, so even if people had assigned spaces, you could put signs up that said like resident parking only from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. or whatever, so if somebody does lose their spot during the day, they know that they still get it back.
both sides of this town.
Right, so I mean, there's a number of things we can do, we just can't require commercial parking. But I think it's a good trade-off
That piece
in
of
order
road
to get the
is-
mixed use, district, otherwise we wouldn't be able to counter mixed use districts. You know, and we'd have to go much higher density.
I think you've done a tremendous job here, thank you. I think this will all work out.
I
know
think
it will.
it'll work
Absolutely.
out, and I think that when people realize that it's really not that big of an increase in density, that we need to do this to comply with state law. That,
There you go.
I mean, we have to do it,
Whether we like it or not.
whether we like it or not, and thank goodness that they allowed for us to.
And we were afraid that wouldn't happen, the way the law was written
Right.
initially. And you worked very, very hard on this, Patty, Sherry, your consultants,
That state rep, what.
and the state reps.
Right.
Yes. So, kudos to all, but you can, in particular, Sherry as well. Moving right along there.
Right, so I have after 7.
All right, that.
At 7:00, we have a continued public hearing with the Tri-County Renewal Special Permit for designated stormwater in front of DDG to receive 90 people place. That's what you're here, you'd like to introduce yourself, and also what's happening.
Yep, I'm Paul Seabird from Grady Consulting, and here will be owner and applicant Steve Lynch. We're here for a site plan, special permit, and stormwater approvals from the planning board. This project site is located in the East Miami GDC zoning district. The lot area is approximately 18,985 square feet. The site currently consists of a single-family dwelling, shed, paved and gravel parking areas, and is used to operate a landscape business. The applicant is proposing to raise the existing structures and propose 4 cottage units in a cottage courtyard design. Based on the lot area, we are allowed 3 cottage units by right. We're requesting a special permit for a density bonus to construct 1 additional unit. We are proposing to improve the existing town-owned park, constructing a 24-foot by 24-foot patio as a community benefit for the special permit. The courtyard design consists of 4 2-bedroom private court units, that are centrally located around the courtyard and the circular patio. There's a proposed walkway and fire access that leads down to a parking area located in the front of the lot. The required number of spaces is 6, but we are proposing 8 spaces total to accommodate guest parking, snow storage, and have easier vehicle maneuverability. The proposed development is prior to existing water, sewer, and electric services available on board place. The stormwater management design for the site will consist of a catch basin, oil sediment tank, and a subsurface infiltration system that will infiltrate runoff in the proposed parking area on the site. And also we've received minor review comments from the peer review consultants, planning, fire department, water and sewer, that we will address with revised plans on the next middle. I would be happy to answer any questions from the board there.
Just a question, just orienting myself, where's 19 places is subdivided?
This is Logan. On the street.
Next to the post office.
That's what I thought.
Okay, yeah.
We have 1918, it all gets a little confusing after.
Yeah, we've been over this area.
Nothing,
Yeah. Not too many, but we do.
this area, which, but,
Many times they would walk it.
Cory wants to.
So they are allowed 3 units by right, and they need a density bonus for the 4th unit. They have it, they put on the plans that they want to do pavement at the conservation park, but nobody's asked the conservation commission if that's something that the conservation commission wants. I don't know what the planning board thinks about that idea, but you're gonna have to make a determination if that's a suitable public benefit. Courtyard is supposed to be a minimum of 3,000 square feet and 30 feet in width. I think that you're gonna have to decide if this meets the definition of a courtyard. There's still some engineering work to do, with drainage, and a comment was received from fire saying that they need a wider area for the grass pave. They have to have, better fire access. And the grass pave detail needs to specify it's H20 loading for the fire truck. Those are just some of the minimum comments. John is here and has some more comments on the drainage and other parts of the site.
John? What?
Okay, so Karen covered some of my aspects, but as with other projects in this district, and as you're well aware, there's a lot of discretion to the board, and a lot of things you have to make determinations on and things of that nature. So obviously there's the density and the proposed improvements relative to the density bonus. Landscaping, I think the board needs to review the landscaping, or should review the landscaping. I think the plans need to clarify which and if any existing trees are to remain. There are some existing trees out there. Parking is all in the front of the site. This is somewhat of a unique thing as a cottage court, but all of the things in the district talk about build-to zone and parking in the front and all that sort of thing. And this is all parking in the front. So how that applies to this project, you'll need to make determinations on, because it doesn't, if you read it as far as where the facades and the build-to, it's counter to what the regs actually say relative to that. I understand the fire department has looked at it a bit and maybe provided comments. I haven't yet seen those, but the other thing, the initial submittal or the submittal used table 1, and I think in this district, the table 2 for parking is what's required. So there's an excess of parking. In addition, there's an excess of pavement relative to the parking. So that's, and I get it, out there is pretty tight for parking. There's no extra anywhere and there's no room on the street. But that increases impervious and all these other things. So you're gonna have to make a determination on that. I mean, I know the goal is to have less parking in the district, which is supposed to use the public transportation and all those things. And so that plays into everything relative to other aspects. So boards should talk about that. There's no pedestrian connection from the site to the sidewalk is required. There's also a requirement that they may or may not need, but there's no information on it, about 25% impervious in the front yard. I know this discussion was on several other projects that have come along. And in this case, I think that you mostly have the curb cut, but it's not a very big lot. I mean, it's not a very wide lot. I think it's 62 feet of frontage, and then you have the access. But they should have a table that shows how much impervious is actually in the front yard to demonstrate they meet it. I'm not saying that they don't meet it, I'm just saying they didn't document what they have. Based on my measurements, I don't know that the courtyard would meet the requirements. Because 30-foot width, the buildings are sort of angled to each other, so it doesn't have 30 feet everywhere. And then the part that's between the parking lot and the buildings, I'm not sure that's really courtyard, because it's not enclosed within the buildings. So the board, as Karen said, needs to take a look at that carefully, and I think there might be some benefit of some dimensions on that to show how it all fits together. The submittal did not include anything on public realm standards, like an attachment D that usually comes with them that wasn't submitted. So I didn't really comment on that because they didn't provide that form, but I think they should provide the form. I don't see where it would not be required for this project. So I think that's something that should be done. It's also my understanding that this would be sent to design review for review, and that was in the submittal was claimed that it wasn't required. The board should determine if you want a professional land surveyor and landscape architect to stamp the plan, if there isn't a land surveyor or architect stamp on any of the plans. Under a bunch of sections of the site plan, there's discussion of the surrounding area and what's there, and there is some information, but your requirements go further than what's shown. Do you need more information or not? That's something that the board should look into. Basically, on the one side, there's the post office, and on the other side, there's another, commercial use building with a drainage system in the front. And some of it's shown, but not all of it. And there's another building in the back. There's a lot of stuff all around it. You may want more information. There's no information on site lighting. And I know site lighting is a hot topic in some cases, based on what I just heard from just somebody's house, so I assume you might want something on the lighting. Don't know the status of water and sewer. I mean, there is a water connection and a sewer connection to the existing house. And the DPW should comment. Relative to the stormwater, I think the biggest thing is that there's no test pits. I mean, the area is typically pretty good material, but groundwater depth and all that stuff should be determined. We got to make sure that, nothing then.
Oh, yeah, we have test pits.
We love testing it, so we're all over those like.
You don't want those, so, and then there's some other minor comments about some of the divides. I think that the roofs, it looks like the roofs just run off the roof to the ground. And there is existing, the trouble with this site is that, and I did look at it, it's very hard to see actually what's going on because there's piles of stuff everywhere. You really can't get a feel for what's underneath because there's piles here, piles there. It's not easy to tell. I don't know how they did the survey and when it was done and what it looked like then, so I can't really say whether the existing conditions is accurate or not because you just can't see it. So that makes it a little complicated to figure out how things work. The proposed roofs look like they don't go up to anything. They just run off. Because there's an existing house, because there's existing pavement and gravel and that already flows off, it isn't that hard to meet some of the numbers because it's already a developed site. But as a partial redevelopment, I believe there is an increase in impervious that ultimately you are required to make it better than what's there. And yes, having what they're doing for the pavement is better, but what about the rest of it? If it's really good soil, could they pick up maybe the paving for the courtyard, or could they do something like that? That's something that the board should look at relative to the regulations and see and guide the applicant as to what they may want to do. Ultimately, this site also drains to First Turning Brook, like pretty much everything else in Greenbush, which is a critical area because it's shellfish growing in the area, although most of the time you can't harvest them. I think you need more data on erosion sediment control, even though it's a small site and soils may be good. It's fully developed around it. So you might want more information on that. I think the O and M is pretty good, except that they need to put the plan that shows where the BMPs are. It's in the regs, there's supposed to be a plan associated with it. There's not many BMPs, there's a catch basin and an oil rig separator. Those all are acceptable in the districts and all that, so it's the soils work, everything else will be a lot easier.
Thank you, Mr. Justice. This is why we have a peer review engineer. Thank you very
Right,
much.
so we do have comments from the water department. Water department says, I believe I forwarded them to the applicant. 6-inch main, not 4-inch, fire hydrant at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's a sewer extension, therefore the applicant will need to go before the select board for review of sewer expansion. The project consists of 4 sewer units. The existing parcel is only 1 sewer betterment. The addition of 3 sewer units will incur 16,000 connection for each unit. Sewer pipe SDR 35, manholes watertight, vacuum pressure, and revised plans. And the fire department, 14-foot width must be maintained vertically as well as horizontally for the fire road.
Can you tell me little space with a lot of issues? Mr. McLean, do you have any questions right now?
Not right now.
No way. Mr. Burchett.
No, I guess just went through a pretty long litany there. You guys are prepared to look at it and address.
Right, all of those are really minor, but we can address it.
Okay. So I don't think anything at this time, it just seems like we'll need to address. But I guess I would like to just understand the issue on the courtyard design. If you could explain how it's either meets or maybe doesn't meet the courtyard requirements.
Right, so we were trying to do more of a variable width courtyard on this, because we want to kind of keep the units centrally located around that circular area. We could rotate those few units closer to 4 place outward, 30 feet, provide a 30-foot by 100-foot, courtyard. But we feel as though this design looks a little bit better, just like having a square rectangular shaped courtyard.
Is there any requirement that it be rectangular?
No, it's
It's just square
you
footage,
have
right?
to, 30-foot minimum width,
Right,
30,000 square foot, there's no other requirement. Besides that, the units have to be clustered all around.
I like the way they're sort of put around the courtyard like that. It's just what we have right now. How many square feet is it?
4,300.
I'm sorry,
4,300, so it's
4,300.
1,300 over.
And is that just the circular piece? Or is that-
No, that extends down to the parking area, so.
Oh, that
provided
includes
the
this
plan.
fire access road?
Yep.
What's the circular piece?
It's gonna be like a patio.
No, I mean, how many square feet?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly the square footage of the circular piece itself.
What's the diameter?
I believe it's 14 feet wide. It's actually probably more than that. I think it's around. I forget off the top of my head what it actually is, but this is sheeted here that outlines the courtyard.
Oh, so it's not just the.
Right.
Not just the hardscape, but
Right, but if you rotate those 2 units, we could do 30 by 100 feet down to the bottom of the area as a courtyard, field road, but kind of the variable width looks a little bit nicer than just that rectangular shape.
oh, you see it, okay.
But the board is gonna have to decide if they like that, if they think that that meets the definition of a courtyard. If you think it meets the definition of a courtyard, then you can provide a waiver for the exact dimensions.
Well, I want to jump in here and say English region. This is not the definition of a courtyard. This is a new project in urban space. I love the concept of it. I wish it were somewhere else. I fear that as we sit here and we step away from what the definition should be. We're gonna set ourselves up for a jeopardy issue where you're allowed here and not here. So we don't like to see that. How come they get to do it and we don't? We hear this all the time. And these definitions are here for a reason. Might be a little stickler for that, but that's what it was designed for when these were written. That's what it was made to look like. I do not want to set us up to fail someplace else without meeting that definition. And if we're going to do that, I think, you need to go to DRC, you need a density bonus, obviously, for the 4th. This definitely needs to be continued. I mean, we know that without being done, especially with all Mr. Cheshire has to say.
May I
Yes.
Okay. I think Mr. Chelsea was on point, and it's something that we've tried really hard in Greenbush and wherever we happen to be, in terms of having the parking behind everything as opposed to on the street. Because you end up with, I look at North Scituate and it's just pavement everywhere. So, but unfortunately, the site is so small that that's probably all that they can do. But the other question I have, and I know it's economic, but the applicant is entitled to 3 units as a matter of right. As a matter of right. So why put yourself through all of the machinations to make this, stuffed into a small portion when you could do 3 as a matter of right?
You still need site plan approval.
Of course you do, of course you need site plan review, but they don't have to go through the hoops that they're going through right now.
Well, no, that's not 100% true.
Right, well-
They have to go through site plan review, they just wouldn't have to provide the density
Right,
bonus. Et cetera, you're still gonna scrutinize the layout.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna scrutinize the parking and the drainage,
It's, yes,
but
but
they would be guaranteed approval if they went for 3 years.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, if they want 4, then
Right.
they're fully within their rights.
They're
we are.
part of it, exactly.
If you do recall, we met with you a couple times previously about this project, and we actually had 5 votes, and it was recommended by the board to place it down at 4.
Did you look at, I know it's not circular, as much circular, but did you look at sort of moving the units so that they're more sort of parallel and get a bigger courtyard?
Yeah, that's what I was offering, was like, we could do a 30-foot by 100-foot courtyard, 3,000 square foot, and meet the requirements, but we kind of wanted to orient them around that.
If I could step in, so Paul gave us like, I think it was 5 different concepts, and the reason why we did this was the backyards, there's a little more room in the backyard of each unit. And the front are not looking straight into the neighbor's unit across the way, so it just kind of tweaks them a little bit, so they're not quite parallel and not so lined up.
So with that orientation, you sort of, because you're hitting setbacks, you don't really have much more room.
It's tight, and it's just a little bit of tweak, maybe a little more backyard, especially on the lower right and the upper left.
Can you tell me how many bedrooms are in these?
2 bedrooms.
You're only allowed to be 1,400 gross square feet.
I love the concept, I do too.
Yeah, we've been talking about density.
I know.
15 units per acre kind of thing that I'm not opposed to having, 4 units here. It's just, I think sort of understanding how the courtyard sort of definition and layout happens, and yeah, things like, design review still need to happen. So
So you're gonna have to decide if you can come up with justifications for waivers that would just fit this site. I mean, the site does have kind of a unique shape to it. And so you have to decide if because of the shape to this site, this is the best product that could fit in for this site. But the applicant will have to come up with some language. We're not gonna create all that language for the applicant.
Yeah, frankly, I don't think we can try to be designed site either, I'm just, trying to figure out what needs to happen here. To meet all the existing requirements.
So we're gonna have another design review, or do we have to make that decision about whether it's a courtyard or not right now?
You don't have to make that decision right now, I mean, you can refer them to design review and,
Go from there.
and go from there.
Okay.
But I mean, realizing that design review more focuses on the buildings. I think that if you have a problem with something, you need to tell them tonight, so you can give them direction on how to proceed.
So for me personally, I think it looks like there's a good, somewhere between a third and a half of that courtyard is actually not even between any of the units. I'd like to see the majority of the courtyard be located within the space that's between the buildings, or else we're gonna have, as it's been alluded to, pushes to have something potentially considered a courtyard that's not. And as
That 4,500 needs to be 3,000, right?
right,
So, I mean, that's where everything off.
right. So if there's a way to, and I don't wanna redesign the site either for you, but if you can get, I don't think you need that much square footage. And to kind of keep the courtyard contained within the buildings to some degree, a little bit more than it is on here.
I think if you do that, our goal is just to open up the backyards a little bit more. But if you rotate those units, we can get 3,500 feet. I can provide that, fully compliant courtyard. Here.
The other question I have is with respect to the fire access. Is it contemplated that a truck would drive all the way up there?
If need be, yes.
So
So,
then, okay, and do we have any insight from fire?
yes, they're actually okay with it as long as you make it a little bit wider, it's 12 feet wide.
Yep.
They want it to be 14
Provided
feet
comments
wide,
to,
It has to be 14.
Yes.
14 feet, yes.
right, 14 feet.
which is only 1 foot on either side of the
Yeah, I did talk to Mark, and I had to 40 feet from the ridge line, so the truck has to get in 40 feet of the furthest ridge line, so I did talk to him, I was gonna go back and talk to him today about it, and then change.
And it's gonna be H20 welding. I mean, the
Right,
detail
yeah,
has
I
to,
talked to the manufacturers.
the detail has to specify
Right,
H20
yeah,
welding.
and I talked to them, manufacturers a year ago, and we're on base for that.
Is there any comments from anybody in the room? This is a public hearing. Or anybody online?
Any comments online from the public that you'd like to make, you can please raise your hand. We can unmute you to do so.
Do we have to continue?
Are you done discussing? You have one, but we can continue. If you want to continue discussing, you can continue discussing today.
I am,
Direction is the word.
yeah. As I said to you before, I love this design. I wish it wasn't such a crowded space. I don't really like that most of the courtyard is on the end. As you know, we're trying desperately to hide cars, and all the cars are gonna be in the front, so we really need to think about what this is gonna look like. As you go down the street, there's gonna be a parking lot on the left. I know that nobody goes down there, I know all that kind of stuff. But we're supposed to take all this kind of stuff into consideration for the people that live around here as well.
Is it possible to do more plantings?
Yes,
So
we
I
have,
thought we had to have an open view of the street.
well, there was a sightline issue as
Right,
well.
so sightline, but if we could do some plantings midway in the parking area so that some of the, like the Amazon trucks that was mentioned, there's a lot of coming and going nowadays, people's homes, so maybe we could do some plantings to break up the parking area and to obstruct the view of some of the cars.
We have provided 2 islands inside.
Right,
They're
exactly.
planted
Right.
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then something's coming down here too.
Right.
Right, and there's also an existing row of arborvitae's down the whole left-hand side of the parking lot, so it's not even gonna be visible as you drive down the street to your left. Till you get to the actual parking lot itself.
It doesn't look like you have any other real option here anyway, right? So I guess it is a question, you've got 8 parking spots for 4 units, right?
They also have to consider trash removal, you also have to consider delivery trucks. Where are the delivery trucks gonna go? Are they just gonna go in the middle of the parking lot and back out, or are they just gonna block the street?
Well, Amazon delivery trucks and UPS delivery trucks, they never go into people's driveways.
They block the street, no matter what. What they do.
Yeah, we can try to provide, we had a quick turnaround.
Well, yeah, you're on a long driveway. I come out of mine to get to your house, you don't have to carry that stuff up.
You're gonna be able to manage those people.
Right, they're gonna do that.
And also, they're gonna park,
Wherever they want.
parallel park on the street.
Yeah.
So I'm just bringing it up because on other multifamily, you require loading spaces, and I'm just bringing it up.
That's why we're having 2 extra spaces to require as well.
But they can't drive all the way to the courtyard, right? That's not the
No,
town.
that's just fire access.
Right.
So make sure that's controlled as well. Is there a landscape plan that has been submitted to us, John?
There was something, it was stamped by a civil engineer, but that was my point. It was missing some aspects, street trees and.
It was prepared by landscape architect, we just didn't have a stamp on it. So.
So we need that, and Mr. Chester said we need our land surveyor as well.
Yep, that's great.
And we need a test pit on the plan.
It's perfectly fine to do that.
Can you explain the density bonus that you're proposing? I'm not sure I know what it is.
So, and the existing park that's right next to the Dunkin' Donuts on Brickway. You familiar with that area?
Yeah.
So we're proposing to do a nice 24-foot by 24-foot paver patio within that park area.
There's some picnic
To the
tables.
left side as you're looking
Yeah,
from the street.
yep, exactly.
So nobody has come to us, usually anything that you give us a public benefit is part of the master plan. And what we have approved is conservation, correct? Or any, all over town, right?
Well, it can be any approved plan.
Any improvement, that's the word I'm looking for, so any improved plan. I thought that they had been talking one time about doing something like that area. Yes, no?
Yeah, for 18 Ford Place, I would imagine. We looked at it before, I'm gonna read that project as well.
18-4 did, they reset the bollard.
That's right.
They reset the bollard going in so that it made it much more handicap accessible. But, you know, I talked to Amy today in conservation, nobody's approached conservation about this part.
So you have to do that.
I've talked to Frank Snow just today, and I did get his email address, so I'll be emailing them tomorrow morning.
So that would kind of handicap us as well, is, we need a group for conservation that this is something that they would like or.
Right.
Come along.
Who owns the parcel? The town property?
It's town,
It's
and,
town.
I think it's conservation.
See what you see there.
Right, and, you know, you have to look at the cost estimate to determine if it's, you know,
Commensurate with the.
commensurate with the project.
You guys are okay with the comment about pedestrian connection to the sidewalk?
Yeah. So, we're not proposing to actually remove the sidewalk that goes across the site, we're actually gonna maintain the existing curb cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would just, pedestrian access would just walk down the center of the travel aisle.
So there's no
No sidewalk
walkway
on this side.
next to the cars.
Pretty small area, let's hope they can control themselves.
You know, if you look at what in Scituate, Seaside, Scituate, the whole side, they didn't do anything on for, so this is a much shorter distance.
So you have the courtyard marked within the circular part of the patio, like the fire access in there, but you consider the courtyard kind of like the big oval that all 4 buildings open onto.
Right, exactly, I had that plan, you can, pass around.
Yeah.
So we push
What is
up the
sort of
first,
the
we have to
amoeba
get it
shape?
right.
I'm sorry,
Push you on the first, we have to get it right.
but I understand, yeah.
What is sort of the amoeba shape there? Is that like front plantings? Is that? why?
Yeah, I kept it out of the front plantings, front of each unit, 'cause they might want to be maintained by the unit owners, yeah.
Does the courtyard have to be, that's considered common property? The courtyard? In like the awning and stuff?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be condo HOA.
Right, so it's gonna have a condo.
We're gonna need to see some of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Just use areas.
Also says that like the common parking areas, gardens, open space buildings, and other shared amenities are controlled under HOA. So it's not like the people in the southern 2 buildings, even though it looks like they have a front yard, like, you know, that's kind of separate, whereas the northern 2 buildings is a kind of a shared front yard. The landscaping should all be uniform.
But it doesn't look like that's the way it's set up. It looks like it's set up that each cottage has its own sort of frontage that is taken care of. Is that right?
Yeah, each cottage has its own landscaping, I guess it could be defined in exclusive use areas within the.
Right, so it's gonna be exclusive to each cottage as opposed to common.
It depends on how.
I
would think this,
Set it up.
That's like
it could be
one
fenced in,
HOA.
there could be a small area in the front that the homeowner maintains.
Uh,
It could be closed by a fence, or a fence, I don't know, to designate that area.
but if the common area went all the way to the cottage, then you would have more, technically more square footage in the
Right.
courtyard.
That's what you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
Courtyards may include a variety of passive recreational activities, community gardens, and other amenities for community gatherings. It's supposed to be community, a community.
So then it's laid out the way it should be done. Because the communities won't be stomping around in landscape right in front of the house, right? So, yeah, so.
Unless there's too many units maybe. All depends on the block, right?
Yeah, work cut out for you
You're
now,
gonna
I
work
think.
cut out for you. I'm ready, didn't you?
No,
No,
not really.
no, sorry.
So we were thinking that we would continue this to December 14th. Is that going to give you enough time to work on the project? Otherwise, we're not gonna continue to February.
Yeah, December 14th should be fine.
All right, you're not going to be first on the agenda either. We got a tough night that night.
We gotta get this water treatment plant out of the way.
That work for you?
Yeah, if it works for you, but I need stuff 3 weeks ahead of time. 3 weeks ahead of time, because I have to have everything to the board a week ahead of time, and our peer review needs at least 2 weeks for review.
So basically before Thanksgiving. Nothing's happened during that long weekend, but,
Right.
oh, Thanksgiving's early this year. I wanna say it's the 23rd or something.
It's the 23rd or something, yeah, because we had to adjust our meetings for people.
I think that's fine. I've already gone through all the review comments. Yeah. So I think we're in good shape. We just have to get a festival scheduled.
I mean, you have to go by DEP standards for how many test pits you need. I'm emphasizing that because we're being hammered on another project.
It's a small drainage area, so the test hole won't stay the whole drainage area.
Well, I'm just telling you, make sure it's per DEP standards.
Like a licensed engineer.
Right, I'm sure John will be witnessing the test hole.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Yeah. If that's what you want.
Well, it's gotta be funded.
It's gonna be funded, so, that if you want John to witness it, it's part of the peer review, and that'll, if that,
Well, it's not required, we'll just have a licensed soil validator from our company to take care of it.
all right, just make sure they're licensed.
Yes.
Up to date.
That's not a problem.
So have you guys thought about, I was just looking at a few of the other notes, have you thought about site lighting too, what you're gonna do there?
We still have to work out site lighting, we can prepare our lighting plan.
Down, yeah. And then, one thing that wasn't really raised, but, I think you need to think about is noise. I don't know what the plan is for HVAC and all that. But this is a small site and I think they're fairly close.
Right.
So you should
We
think,
can have a little fenced in area around the AC units.
yeah, it's something that,
We're gonna wanna see where they are too,
Yeah.
because,
We
we,
can have them shown the plan, but
we find that they're just sticking them anywhere, and that's not really what we want.
particularly if they're like on a roof or something. Then it starts to emanate
Right.
further, so. Okay,
Are you ready?
I'll set there.
Yeah. I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing, site plan administrative review and special permit density for a cottage court and stormwater permit in the village center and neighborhood district, Greenbush Gateway District, Greenbush Village Center Subdistrict, BCN, GBG, GBC, until December 14th, 2023, at 7:30 PM, and continue the time of action filing with the town clerk until January 31, 2024.
So a second.
second.
All in favor? See you later, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time for this, this is being referred to.
Yeah, see, my first design review, where it's possible, I can set up a design review.
So they'll do that really better back.
Don't do that. I can
So what's
We'll let you know when design review.
Have a nice holiday. Yeah, some nice holidays.
having a little work.
You're right. We have a continued public hearing of major site plan review by 18 Bruce Place. This has to have block 53-5-0. Please upload and signature. What's the result of this? Okay. I'll need that, but you can do something, what's going on?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Padilla. I am here from Brady Consulting. Mr. Larson here is on my right. He is the owner of 18 Groove Place. From the last hearing that we had to this one, we had some changes in the plan. Most notably in the stormwater design and parking layout itself. We did move the parking spots from this front of the building and two of the parking spaces that were inside of the building, we moved them to the back of the lot. That area will be paved, and as part of all the changes that we did, we added a Cape Cod berm along the driveway to convey the water down to a now proposed catch basin that's at the low point of the site. That will route the water towards a dry well that will infiltrate the stormwater, but it's outside of the WRPD. So the movement of the drainage system was to remove those dry wells that the WRPD areas. With that, we also adjusted the limit of work, the erosion control, and we also made more clear the area for the amenity space, which is highlighted on the plan with hatch in front. We went through the comments from the peer review engineer. We did get a response back, and we are currently working on many of those items still. The items themselves are not going to bring major changes to the plan. One of the most notable changes in this case, I would say, there is a pre-treatment requirement for rapid infiltration. So before the dry well, we're gonna have some sort of pre-treatment, like an oil water separator or something like that, that will achieve that 44% TSS removal.
Mr. Patel, before you go any further, I
Yes.
just thought, thinking about this for a long time. I do not know where this building falls. It doesn't comply with any of the approved uses. It's not a commercial building, it's not a mixed use building.
General.
Sure.
Well,
In general,
the shop or plumber is an allowed use. It doesn't fit into a building type.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make an argument, but I don't think that it meets the definition of a commercial building. Now, I've been racking my brains of trying to figure out how this fits into zoning bylaw, the new VCN stuff, and I really can't figure it out. A general commercial building, is,
You have ground floor commercial uses and upper office uses at the scale that is compatible and complementary to its given district. That's what a general commercial building is. So this building does not meet that definition, correct?
Well, it was as a plumbing shop, wasn't it, Karen?
right, but in the VCN, you have allowed uses and building types. Your use has to fit into a building type.
Didn't we confirm that the last meeting? That it was okay to have it as a shop, seeing as there's no spot for any contractors to go in the town? And it is zoned for that?
But the zoning bylaw says it's an allowed use. It's definitely an allowed use. But it also says in the VCN, you have to fit into a building type. And I've been struggling all along with this to try to find a building type for this to fit into in the zoning bylaw.
Wasn't it a general commercial or
I just read you a general commercial
a
building.
general?
If the board is willing to accept it as a general commercial building, then I'll go with that, but the board has to give me that direction.
I would have to ask you what building type would apply in this case, because from the building types that are in that, in the regulations, the BCM regulations, that's the one that most fit what we're doing here.
That is our conducting material right there, in a nutshell. That is our conducting. So we look at what we have 6 commercial use spaces on page 87. It's not a single family attached dwelling, it's not a multi-family building, it's not a wood work building, it's not a mixed use building, it's not a general commercial building, it's not that. So where are those steps? That's-
I didn't mean to.
That's it, but that's our problem. So you have a use. of
We're on the
commercial
same
building.
page.
This is really all I want, but it's a little redundant. That's what I'm trying to say. People can look at it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's it. So, Mr. McGill, listen back to that from here.
The same conundrum I had as I was doing the design. There is no explicit use for plumber, building type for the allowed use.
So you're trying to ask the explanation.
Well,
I'm
So Karen,
I spent a little bit of time meeting with the building commissioner this week. And, the building commissioner is allowed to determine a new building type. And I had posed that question to the building commissioner. Could we perhaps determine that this is a different building type? But, he didn't get back to me. And so the problem is that it doesn't fit into one of these. And if you create a new building type, you have to make it fit other stuff too. You have to make it fit the area. Now, I know that we have some of these other buildings that could do some of these things, but they were permitted under a different bylaw. And that's the problem. So if you can come up with an alternate building type that I could sell to the building commissioner. I mean, we specifically in this BCN didn't want to allow warehouses.
Didn't we say it was a storage building or?
Yeah, but we don't want to
stuff?
allow that. We don't want to allow that in
We
this
went
district.
through it all in the last meeting and everything is fine. Now it's all, we don't know what we're gonna call it. I thought that was already determined that it was gonna put some plumbing stuff in. It was gonna be a storage. For plumbing and storage.
Mr. Larson, you made a mistake of telling me that you wanted to put your boat in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
not
I mean,
allowed.
that's not for storage though?
No.
That's not allowed?
It's a plumbing shop, so.
But a shop isn't allowed supposedly, like you can't, not supposed to do work in there, you're not supposed to.
Don't conflate that, please. It's what, you're asking us to allow you to park your trucks in what is going to be a plumbing supply place.
Right, I wanna be able to drive through like Hingham lumber, so we can pull in one end and load up and come out
Okay,
the
so
other
what
and around.
happens right now is we do not have a building that does that. We don't have a building type that does that right now in this particular area. I know you're frustrated, I've been frustrated.
Well, it's a commercial zone, it's a,
I know,
you know,
so it doesn't fit the building type.
that's why I bought the property.
It's not an accessory building. No, can we allow how many things are parked inside? When I look at the drawing that you gave me, it doesn't look like there's a lot for plumbers workshop, but then again, I don't know really what a plumbers workshop is supposed to do. And we have talked to the building commissioner, and he hasn't really helped us out a lot, but you understand if I know which is, I know you want to drive it, I know you want to drive up. I need you to tell me what that building is called.
Where's your office?
What's that?
Where's the office?
And the building, in the existing
Existing.
building that's there now. I mean, we were all ready to go, and all we were asked to do was relocate the runoff tanks and, what was the second thing? And those two minuscule things that we had to do. Oh, we wanted a picture of the building. So all we were asked to do was the runoff tanks that Gabriel was already done, and a picture of what the building would look like. And that's all we were asked to do the last time.
And then what happens when we sit and we look at these, we ruminate about these, and we see this is why we continue these issues, as you know, these things are always still tightening the drum. So if you, what we're looking for is a building type. It's not that we're not that I don't want to allow this, or we don't want to allow this, but the purpose has to fit the building.
Yeah,
So
but
that you know what I
I
mean.
thought we were agreed that the
Well,
plumbing.
we thought we had, so we unfortunately do a little more digging, which is our purview and our right to do. What we're supposed to do is that, you know, these things don't come in and go out in one meeting, unfortunately. I understand
Well,
you're frustrated, I know you are.
We were there once already.
I know, so
Yeah.
that would not be one and done, it's usually three and done. This is, these types of things, because we have a new bylaw and we're trying to wrap ourselves around this, not that we're not trying to help you, do you understand?
No, I don't know what else, we've
What
done
would you
everything
call
we
that kind
asked.
of building, Mr. Fidello? What would you call that?
I would call it a prefabricated building to be used as a plumber shop.
I don't know if the building commissioner is going to accept that terminology, and that's our issue. Karen?
I mean, the prefabricated building, I thought you asked for a little bit more detail on the
We did.
building
We
as well.
have given it to you.
So,
all I
can I interject here?
Sure.
Because, basically, we're going by the zoning bylaws, right? And at the end of the day, this, if we can't make this thing fly with its own bylaws, we're not gonna approve it, because it'll be illegal, basically, right? So, but this does say, this bylaws do say that if a new building is proposed, it cannot be classified as one of the allowed building types. In this section, the building is subject to special permit review and approval of planning board or board of appeals. So it sounds like this could be done by the planning board under a special permit. Right? That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
From the Board of Appeals.
which is not
No, or the planning board.
Okay, or, okay.
by the planning board or the board of appeals. So it sounds like it's sort of within our
It is-
jurisdiction
it
and
is-
purview to approve it as an alternate type of building.
But the zoning enforcement officer is going to have to make a determination. If he can't classify it, I mean, for example,
No, what this says
No,
is that the zoning enforcement officer cannot classify this building as one of these six. Right, then it says the building is subject to special permit review by the planning board, right? If it's a new building, it cannot be classified in categories 1 through 6. So what this is saying is that this is category 7, right? But in order to do it that way, it has to be a special permit.
right, I agree with you.
And this is not, I don't think it's a
No, this is
special.
not gonna advertise as a
So
special permit.
you are almost gonna have to, if we go through this, right, you almost have to back up and do this as a special permit, because I don't see any other way to match the requirements of the zoning bylaw unless you can get this function to fit within the definition of a general commercial building, which it doesn't sound like, you just read it, it doesn't sound like it meets that, right? It's certainly not a gas backwards building, or a mixed use building, right? I don't know what a live-work building is, but is there a definition to that?
Yes, it's a small living work.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a live-work
It's
building
not
either,
a
right?
work building.
It's not multifamily, it's not single family, right? So, fundamentally, if it's not a general commercial building, then it's gonna fall under the section D2, right, which is alternate building types.
Isn't that considered a general commercial building though?
Well,
Or is
can
that
you read
not?
the definition of general, there's a definition,
A
right?
variable floor plate building type that typically accommodates a variety of ground floor commercial uses and upper office uses at the scale that is compatible and complementary to its given district. So it's really not because.
Right, because I think we decided that we weren't gonna, we're obviously not doing any apartments upstairs, because wide open
Right.
floor to ceiling, so I thought you were willing to.
So we can't really shoehorn it into that definition.
No.
is-
Well,
I
again,
think-
it says generally as upper bosses.
Typically accommodates a variety of ground floor commercial uses, which does not have, it's not, well, I guess.
Plumbing.
A shop for plumber.
And an upper office use at the scale, but it typically accommodates, it's usually like a mixture of what we would call like retail and.
But not in always, but
No.
just typically. Yeah.
So we just,
So
yeah, well,
that's-
there's not,
If that's the exception you wanna go by, then you got.
Well, just saying it could be an
That's-
exception, the bylaw does allow for an exception not to have a second story office.
I think effectively, if we do that, we're creating another type. Right? Effectively.
Effectively,
So
that's
we
another
gotta
type of building.
decide whether that's something we really want to do. If it were to be filed as a special permit, it would be the same thing, it would be filed as a special permit, we had greater sort of leeway authority, right? As opposed to the site review.
Right. I mean, the other option that we talked about the other day, and I'm just gonna throw it out for you guys to consider. Could it possibly be considered a mixed-use building if he puts a desk in there for his office?
It's the definition of a mixed use.
Building that typically accommodates a variety of ground floor commercial uses and upper residential and office uses at a scale that is compatible and complementary to the given district.
But is there a second floor here?
No, there's no shop.
Yeah, I didn't think there was.
That's the definition.
I can put up a mezzanine with a deck up there.
What if this were attached to the existing
Yeah,
dwelling?
that's what I was gonna say.
Because,
It's not a dwelling, the existing building is an office building.
but if he attached his mixed use, his garage plumbing supply place to his office, then it becomes what we're sort of kind of looking for.
Well, would you buy that as mixed use building? That's, would you buy that?
If they were connected,
Yeah, that would, unfortunately, the building, the existing building is right smack dab in the middle of a small half acre, and the only way to get around it is to have the building, you know,
And the existing building is for commercial purposes.
yes, so, well, it's,
So will this
It's an
just be?
office building. It's an office. building.
well, it's mixed use, zone for mixed use, correct?
Right, but it's an office building.
No,
The
right.
existing building is office.
Yeah.
So we have to take what was before and what is future, and try to meld it together. That's our problem, that what happened here right now. So. That is our question. I thought the safety issues and mixed use, we can solve how connected. I know it says typically, so, but we have to make that determination as a board if we want to accept that definition for what it is that Mr. Larson wants to do.
If I can interject here. The building itself, we believe this is the most effective building that would be for the use that we're proposing. So we don't believe that if it comes to a special permit, there won't be much change here. So I believe we would be asking the same questions as we're asking now. It works as it intends to, and it's for a commercial use, which is allowed in this zone.
Right, but you understand that it says right in the zoning bylaw that you have allowable uses and you have allowed building types. The building types allowed in the DCN are identified in table 1 below. Uses identified on the table of use regulations in section 420 must be located in allowed building types and subject to development standards for each VCN district in section 580.9, and those under 750 is applicable. So I'm trying to make this fit in. I'm trying to make this fit in. Now, the property next door would happen to have been done under a mixed-use special permit. And it's a much more attractive building. That, I mean, I gotta tell you, a Morton building isn't that attractive.
Well, I mean,
Can we
and
make things to make it a
can
little
be
bit
with
more
windows
attractive?
and stuff like that, yeah, but it is, like you say, it's dead end and there's nobody. I got the T
Right, but
here.
it needs to fit into the neighborhood. I mean, we're trying to make
I know,
this
but-
project fit into the neighborhood as well.
you don't know what's gonna go in.
But if I look out the front door, all I see is the backside of all the apartments that just went up and all the roof fence that look like candy canes everywhere.
So Mr. Lawson, what about the job? So is that, we plan not just 3 years, we have to pay for 25, 50 years down the road. So
I
the people will come
understand.
back and say, you know, which is kind of like what we're dealing with right now in Greenbush because we changed the bylaw. So
Yeah.
we have something.
Well, I mean, like
We
I
are
said,
trying desperately to make this work for you.
I know, like I said last time, I mean, I've been in Scituate for my whole life, my whole plumbing career, serving this town. The school systems, the this, the that, and I finally bought this piece of property 4 years ago. And I've been trying to work because of the zoning, and I knew that I could put it, I thought I could put my shop there. Because there is absolutely nowhere else to go in this town.
Okay,
To
so
have a plumbing shop,
this is just,
unless you rent from
I know.
2 people, and that's it.
So this is a discussion among the
Or-
board, if we're willing
Yeah.
to let this move forward as a general commercial building, which is an option for us.
I mean, I see people putting garages up in their home residence, a single family home. And they're putting their plumbing shops in a residential everywhere. And I'm trying to do it legit.
But
Yeah.
we're
Trying to
just
do
talking,
it in
we
a-
can only deal with what we have this year, right? We can't deal with
Yes.
all the other things.
The existing building, that's mixed use?
No, it's the office, it's an office.
Well, the existing building is, it has 2 apartments upstairs.
Well, on the assessor's card, it's listed as office.
Office building, there's nothing about.
Well, that's all it is, but I mean, this is how I bought it, that's all.
Those are the acceptable apartments.
Those are-
There was a gym downstairs and there's 2 apartments upstairs, and now,
God, keep going.
huh?
The people wouldn't.
No, that's where my office is.
Right, so that's why it's listed as an office building.
Yeah. But there used to be a gym there years ago.
I can
and
remember that.
Durwell was there, the big metal company, they worked for years.
So it's up to us to make a determination if we can make this fit each one of these things. So we're gonna have to talk, so we're gonna about ourselves to see if we can come up with what where we feel comfortable that we can put this. It isn't that we don't want you to do this.
Oh, I understand.
You guys tried, you're not. That's how
I,
you do
I
this.
thought I was doing the right thing by
You know,
buying this
you are,
property
you
for
are, you are. Is it all right to go down, just walk? Is that okay?
We can leave for a minute if you want.
No, 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 no,
It's a
no, no.
public meeting.
I'd like to,
We can have a sidewalk.
I'd like to have a sidewalk. I would. I really would like to have a sidewalk.
I mean, you can go, I mean, do they have permission to go on the property?
Sure.
I mean, so anybody can go anytime,
All right,
you know, and go and take a sidewalk.
field trip.
But, you know, what type of direction are you gonna give tonight? I mean, or what do you wanna do tonight?
What I would like to do is to continue this until we can come to some type of a meeting of the minds. I understand Mr. Larson's dilemma. I really can. As a-
I do too, and we sat for over an hour the other day trying to figure out how we could make it work.
Right, well, we have possibly an option to make it work, possibly with D2, alternate building types.
Right.
We have that,
Well, that's a definite path, right?
yes.
That's a definite path.
It's
Yes.
not
And you
possible.
have done an alternate building type before, that gas backwards.
Yes.
With the attached convenience
Right.
store, you did that as an alternate building type. The building commissioner determined that was a new building,
And we got it.
and
Oh,
but
we approved it as a special permit.
that was approved as a
So
special
that's
permit.
it's
This
a
is
special
only,
permit if you go down.
So,
I mean, I can sit down again with the building commissioner. And, you know, if you'd like to be part of the meeting, I will schedule another meeting with the building commissioner. But we tried for an hour the other day to try to make this work. We couldn't exactly think of a way. We tried to think of an alternate building type. And we tried to think of something that would be applicable, so, I mean, because under that thing, it says plumber shop, shop for electrician, it says several of those things. So we tried. I'm more than happy to schedule another meeting with the building commissioners to talk about it. And if you wanna be
Well,
present,
Yeah, I just don't, so if you have commercial property, you can't put a commercial building on it?
you can if it meets the definition, if it meets the building type.
it's a catch-22.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Well, that's,
I'm thinking about kind of the two options we're talking about. One is special permits, and we definitely have that route if you want to go that way. The other potential discussion we can have is, I think Bob was right here, is that says it typically accommodates a variety of ground floor uses and upper office uses, right?
Right.
So, and it's compatible and complementary to the given district. So I think that's kind of if we do it, try to sort of address it as a definition of general commercial building. What I wouldn't want to do is create kind of because it says typically, then this would be sort of an exception, right? As opposed to,
Right.
I wouldn't want the exception to become the rule. That's what I would be concerned about, right? So if we could sort of word this in a way and address this in a way that it's, it's consistent with this definition, but, and maybe, maybe it does meet a mezzanine office or something like that. But that it's compatible, complementary. That's what I'd be concerned about trying to define it in general commercial building. Is I wouldn't want it to become the exception that everybody's looking for, right?
All right, so then.
So-
Can
I mean,
we
that's-
put
I'm sorry,
that,
that's
can we
just
put
my
that
opinion.
onus on the applicant? Give us some language that shows how this is
Complimentary.
complementary to the given district. And that how it's give us the language. I mean,
I don't understand.
What
He does.
he does,
Yeah,
Mr. Cardillo does.
I mean,
So-
we're trying to
The boss here.
we're trying to make it, we're trying to fit this in. And you've got to help
You have to help us.
with the language to help, to run it by us, to help it fit in. And so,
And the,
The
Let me
language
give
as
you a
far as
couple
what the
of,
building's gonna be used for?
Let me give you a couple of just thoughts, right? It says typically accommodates a variety of ground floor uses. Well, in this case, we're talking about accommodating a single kind of use, right? Plumber shop, but we also know plumber shop is an accepted use in the district.
Right.
So maybe in this instance, it doesn't need a variety of ground floor commercial uses. But then it says, and an upper office use or uses, right? And that the building itself is sort of within scale, right, of the area.
right.
So it feels to me like if you're willing to, first of all, modify it, that maybe it has an upper office or mezzanine, whatever you want to call it. We could fit within that definition, and then it becomes a question of whether, from a scale point of view, it's compatible or complementary. That feels like it to me, but that's just one read of it, I guess.
I mean, for
I'll let the
me,
lawyers.
the complementary piece when it comes to the existing neighborhood, the existing district, that's, look at what else is in that area that's for commercial, residential, and just be prepared for that kind of aesthetic comparison. Because I think that's, for me, for this option, that's kind of what that complementary tends to look like. I mean, I do think there's a couple ways to kind of get at the same place, but going this route with the general commercial building may require some real specific aesthetic conditions and improvements as to how that building looks.
And I think that the board would also condition it that it's only can be used for the shop of a plumber.
And no hose.
It was for stock storage
Okay,
originally,
that's okay.
you know?
But that's, I mean, if that's the shop, there's no real definition. I looked in the state building code, there's no definition of a shop for a plumber. But
Right,
the building, but the
but there is
planning
for
board,
storage, right?
but the planning board can condition that it can only be used for a shop for a plumber. Without further
Or-
review by,
Or storage, right?
right, well, I consider storage as part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that you have to have enough area in that building to make it so it looks like a plumber's shop.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, it seems like a lot more like garage than plumber's shop at the moment.
And you
Yeah.
can see some toilets, some whatever the shop
Well,
is.
I mean, there's gonna be a little bathroom and then it'll be, the whole exterior would be lined with shelving. If you saw my shop that's downstairs, it's like a hardware store. There's a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry, the exterior to be lined with shell.
No, the
It's
interior.
not outside, inside. You know,
Inside.
The exterior walls.
Exterior walls.
I'm
Yeah, you're
sorry.
right there.
I'm gonna hang pipes off the side of the building.
Oh, it's been done
That's
before.
what I just like to neighbor.
Believe me, I've seen it done.
Yeah,
I think you need to consider, I know you want a Morton building, but I think the Morton building needs a little help.
I think you need a barn. An old fashioned barn.
siding for like. About metal steel container, right, but
Oh,
15, 20 by 40 steel containers.
Well, you need a special permit for that.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
So, like, so you need to give us some language, I believe has to be, we're trying desperately to.
I just wanna make sure the language is
Yeah.
gonna be right.
So what we're
I
gonna
think we
ask
already
you-
solved that, didn't we?
And then what we also want to see is that I personally do not want to see just
A building like
a
that.
building like that.
I mean, I can put, that's just a
I know.
I mean, I can add windows to it, the siding can be changed.
So then that's what we need to see.
That's what we need to
That's what
see.
we need to
Well, I
see.
have all these options in the Morton book that I showed you last time.
But we need to see
Please
the
tell me what
actual
you're gonna do.
building that you're going to do.
Could you please, and I'm not throwing you under the bus, please explain to the applicant how to put this together for us. We need to see a building that he
As presented.
as presented, that will ultimately go on this property, not some esoteric out there. We need to have something that is definitive,
And your real
real picture,
with windows and doors.
and
arches
the color of it, and the lighting, and the whole,
Just like we ask everybody else. to
Right.
come in,
so
Accessory dwelling.
we're,
Well, what if I cut the building in half and then get away with all the stormwater and everything?
well,
And
then,
just
Hold
It's
build
up
a,
to you, it's up to you.
Hold on,
I-
just Bob.
Right now,
Long as
the
it's all up.
property on the assessor's card says is an office,
yes,
right? So if there's an office on there, you add the proposed plumbing storage building is a general commercial building. Would that then make the property a mixed-use development, so an existing or proposed structure or
That's the
group of
other way.
structures?
That's the other way I was trying to potentially go.
All right, yeah,
I mean, so
that
that's
seems
up,
like a very simple route.
that's up to them on how they wanna present it, but it's gotta fall into one of these building types. That's the way the zoning was written, because it's a form-based zoning. And we can't make up the applicant's mind. I mean, we're trying to work with them to make something work that we won't be criticized for, and that other people won't say, well, he got a warehouse building, why can't I?
can't have that,
We can't have
can't
that,
have it.
because the use is a shop for a plumber.
Yep.
Which is an allowed use, general warehouse is not allowed.
Okay, yeah, so not at but a general commercial building
A general commercial building is.
is
It's
allowed.
a time.
And if the office,
it's inside.
but the office is tied to the building, the commercial use of the building,
Mhm.
then that making the overall development a mixed use development. I think that kind of takes out the whole warehousing thing, I mean.
I don't think
even
so.
if-
I don't think so, no. It's not a warehouse, it's a shop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it
Yeah, we
it
don't
makes
want-
it, it makes it.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it can't be used as just a warehouse.
Storage thing.
Right.
Right.
Right,
And that's what we don't want to encourage.
that's what we don't want to occur.
Yeah.
That's why we will condition, if we approve it, that it can only be used as a shop for a plumber. You'll limit the number of vehicles that can be parked in there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you wanna think about it, and then we can have a meeting and I can get the building commissioner in, and we can agree to a building type, then I'm more than willing to do that. I mean, but we're trying to make this work.
But Mr. Larson, you need to bring me a picture of exactly what storage is.
It has to be
Exactly
submitted
what?
with the
Just-
drawings.
I have to see your drawings of what the building, not this and this and this, I wanna see what you pick out, what you want it to look like.
Yep.
That's what we need to have.
Elevations, et cetera,
Elevations.
just like every other project.
Yeah, I mean, I have some on that, but I mean, I have pictures of, I mean, it's
That
not
means
etched in
nothing.
But that
stone,
means
it's gonna
nothing to
be
us.
whatever.
So that means nothing to us, you need to pick from this page and this page and this page, put it all
Basically, you
together,
want to approve a file.
a
Right.
building.
building, and then if you wanna change it afterwards, you have to come back and ask to change it.
Yeah.
So, because what we wanna know is once we approve something, okay, that's what it's gonna look like on the site.
Right, so we know that. That's fine.
So one thing I would recommend away from doing it through the alternative building type, because this type of structure is a very common, like, workshop. Whereas, like, it's a very common type of structure, so if we then designate or, put out ones that, hey, this very standard type of court building is an alternative type of structure, then what is an alternative type of structure? Because I mean, these are like very, very common.
I would rather
Well,
not
no,
do
I mean,
it
if
as
you
an
can't-
alternative building type structure. I would rather try to fit it into
something that.
Of course, I'm gonna let them do what they want. I'm just
Right, but
talking
I mean,
about-
I think it
I
would be
mean, you have
easier.
options, I think at the end of the day, we can't tell you which option to take. We're just trying to give you ideas on how to address it, but at the end of the day, I would still say, even if we sort of are able to merge it into the general commercial building, I think Patrick's right, it still needs the scale or the compatibility, the look and feel of what's there, still, but doesn't matter, we still want to look and see what that looks like, right? And we want a specific building to be able to approve.
So when
And so
I, so when
building
somebody
like-
else comes to me and says to me, what is this supposed to look like? I said, you go see Dave Larson's building. That's what we want it to look like.
What about the brewery? I mean,
They
that,
That
came
was
to
under-
us with a specific building.
right, but I mean, that building is,
They came to us with a
Basically
specific
exactly
building,
what
we
it
went through.
could look like if
Yeah,
that
well,
was
that's
acceptable.
what, they brought that to us. You need to bring that to us. So we,
Right, but
that's what we're
I'm
looking
saying if I was to do that, because that's what it's gonna look like, although it's gonna be gray to match the house. And,
But you
you
need
know,
to,
but just so you know, that would be,
so when they came to us,
They put
that was
cupola
the
on
design.
top of it and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff,
So
right?
we-
It didn't look like that when it started.
It
no,
looked like that.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
well, I mean,
Yeah. Looked like the old school.
Well, and I do too with the, you know, if you bring us what the brewery looks like, you know, and that's how they got it approved, and I wasn't on board at that time. We will be looking at it with full fresh eyes, regardless of what you bring in, so I just wanna make that clear, that we're not
I just don't know.
conditioning a potential approval on anything, still. needs to
No,
be
I'm just
everything.
saying, I don't know. I guess I'd have to reach out to Morton to see if they could draw me up some sort of a, you know,
I think that's what the brewery did. I
Oh,
think
did
they
they?
reached out to brew, I think that they did.
Yeah,
But they got their customized building, and I think that they went to design review.
Yes,
They
they
did,
did.
yeah,
I mean,
that's why it
so-
changed.
I mean, you haven't recommended that this go to design review.
They didn't got there yet.
Yeah, okay, that's our next one on this.
Forgive me, but I still cannot understand, maybe I missed something. Why this structure such as it is cannot be attached to the existing
Because
house.
he said it's very frustrating. It is too small a piece of. It's just like
Again, that's,
And that's his choice.
You've got
He
two
doesn't
to three
want,
options.
he doesn't want to attach it.
All
because
right.
It's gonna be a better building for him if he doesn't attach it.
Fine,
Fine. So the question becomes then, how long is it going to take you to get this together?
I probably could do that within a week or two, I would think, probably 2 weeks.
Because I had projected a continuance until December 7th.
We can do that.
And you need to get stuff in at least 3 weeks
3
ahead of
weeks ahead.
time. So.
So,
if you
just
think
so
you
I'm
can do-
clear, what, we all know what we need to have by the 7th? I mean, other than me getting a picture of the
You're,
building.
you know.
You guys have to do your thing on the
you do, right?
classification.
Okay, so you tell him and have him do whatever it is that he needs to do. Okay,
Yeah, I'll be guiding throughout the way.
thank you.
So I guess
You have
let's,
to propose the classification to us,
Yes,
yeah, we'll need a written
a written,
proposal.
yeah,
written proposal, and then I'm willing to schedule a meeting.
that was gonna be my next
I am
request.
willing to schedule a meeting with, I'll have the chair and I'll have the building commissioner. I'm willing to do that.
That would be very helpful.
I mean, I've been trying to rack my brains to get this to work.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the board too. This could have gone differently.
Yes, put that. All right, are we ready for this? I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing, the major site plan administrative review and special permit for general commercial building in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Driftway Gateway District, Greenbush Village Center Subdistrict, BCN GDG GVC until December 7th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until January 31, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. Lawson, we have, believe me, what we're trying to do the very best for you, and, another perk, we don't have another one this time. Besides what we read, I didn't invite.
We will have limited time that night.
So get your act together.
We have other stuff to do that night.
You have your homework.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
night.
Listen to everything.
You want me to take those if you want
Yes,
to see them?
it's on. They're gonna write it off, so you can, say.
Yeah.
Everything else.
We have to walk across. Oh.
Thank you.
Wanted the right, so
Thank you.
I just wanted to get that right so that they feel it right the first time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we will have to be another hour, and they probably will get it.
So I guess we're moving right along here. Last week, that's not, it was.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
and I have not done any liaison with you.
No.
And
No,
Mr.
wait.
Glenn, have you been liaison lately? No.
Yeah, they hadn't had a meeting.
And that's
So,
okay.
I mean, we'll say.
It was something I had it on Monday, but they moved it to the meeting.
You have a liaison, we got
No. The EPC publishes, like, they put up their schedule like a week before their meetings, and that's usually like the second Monday of the month.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think it's something
Or
we're
like the
gonna,
Spanish Inquisition.
we're going to, we're gonna rearrange our assignments anyways. We're gonna do a little bit of a rearranging.
Who's the housing authority in this?
Oh.
I don't think we have a liaison for housing.
I know, but they're not even on here.
Yes. The housing, I don't think we have a liaison. for housing.
Units.
No, the
No,
trust,
that's
Oh, the
housing
housing
trust.
trust.
you're not even on here.
We can't be on every single committee.
No, I need to figure out what they're up to
Okay.
someday. My next line.
Okay, that's right.
Oh, we had no liaison.
No, we are not liaison, so we just need a planning and development report.
All right, so, the Drew project is done in terms of Old Driftway. We had an offsite bond for that. I'm gonna release the bond on that. The work is all done. We have the as-bills for all the work that was done in Old Driftway. And so I released the bond on that. I sent you guys an email this week on 62 Pin Oak, the driveway.
Okay, so can't go in the public way, so take those blocks and move it up to the top of the building.
I sent the email
Yeah.
that they showed, something on the top and something
For
on the bottom.
this is for the Kirby's.
But for his papers, they're already pounding me for an answer. Any comments tonight?
Have it go, pavers with the garage. The 420 square feet that they need, and then the rest can be pavement.
I mean, do you want it can't go in the public right away, so
That's right.
this part has to go up there, so how, you want it all up top?
Yes. Yes.
You know, so
Stupid.
they've abandoned this sort of perimeter idea.
Nice.
Say it better than the perimeter.
So they're stuck with its, top and bottom, and you're gonna have to manage it that way. I mean, I don't particularly care if they have an extra 2 feet at the top versus the bottom, that's up to them, I would say.
Right, I checked with DPW and they don't want any in the public right away
Okay,
because it's pervious pavers. And what if they damage them with a snow plow, et cetera, so they, at least at minimum, it has to go all up
the
on the.
DPW worries. Will they come and look at my property? Holy cow.
Maybe it's because I asked the question.
Oh,
So you don't care if it's all top or, anyway,
all top.
Particularly don't even care if it's in the public right of way.
Well, the DPW doesn't want, so
Okay,
Patty, all top,
hold on.
Bob, all top, everybody wants it, you want it all at the top? You don't care?
I don't really care.
I don't have a preference.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell them all top.
Okay, squish it all together. You know, this is
So we
what you
went
get,
from all bottom to all top.
We're going
So-
to-
this is what you get for trying to get a stormwater permit. They do not want piles for one person.
Okay.
And this will be out with the driveway or something, that's fine.
All right, Toll Brothers maintenance is supposed to start tomorrow.
Okay,
They anticipate that it's going to be a week of maintenance, and then I will be asked to go out there to look to make sure it was all done.
is there more rain tomorrow?
Saturday afternoon.
They did pay for residential
I have
compound
saw that
development,
today, yep.
and he sent me an email today asking for his surety release today. I sent him back an email, no, that's not going to happen. Then I sent him back another email saying, here's the list of what needed to be done. And if you'd like to follow the correct procedure and ask for surety reduction, then you may do that, but it will not be, it will be at the next planning board meeting. So.
What is it that we want?
That's pretty much all I have. It's where we got 817 in, we got the water treatment plant in. We got more accessory dwellings coming, and
Tons of special permits.
I'm having, Patty and I are meeting with Mr. Morse and Mr. Browett tomorrow to see what they are concocting for 17 new multi-family, it's gonna be multi-family, that's all I know.
Did you get, I'm trying to remember, you said water treatment.
It's coming.
Yes, you sent your notes.
I sent you them,
Yeah.
okay.
I sent you notes.
I just realized I'm supposed.
So, I mean, what we're doing is, they're not gonna be addressing everything at the next meeting. So I'm anticipating that we're gonna have to have the meeting in November, and then we're gonna have to have a meeting in December for water treatment plant too.
Yeah, because they want approval by the end of the year.
They
right?
want approval by the end of the year, so that's what we factored in right now. And so whatever else comes in now, we're trying to figure out where it's gonna fit in, because we haven't continued stuff yet. Except tonight we continued 18 Drew and 19 Ford. So we're trying to work around those things, and December 7th, we're gonna cut Drew off at a certain time, because we know we're gonna have our zoning workshop then, and we are having our zoning public hearings in January.
Oh, yes.
Just for this Drew thing that we're just looking at, aesthetically, they just need to do something different, right? I think Anne's right, it should at least look sort of varnish, barn lights, maybe a cupola, that kind of
And
stuff.
bring the cow.
'Cause it looks like a warehouse.
It absolutely does, and
We don't want that.
I hope you made that clear to him tonight.
Well,
I go and sit next to him, I can't make it any clearer.
So,
So there you go, we're gonna go for a walk.
I think that this is another issue that he wants us to design to do.
We're not,
yeah, no, we're not.
not this week.
Right, so I think that that's what he's looking for. We've had that before. We can't tell you what to do. So,
That's all I have.
and you have a motion,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Brianna, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna.
You're welcome. Have a good night.